Hello, my name is Nicole Binder, and I am the Director of Assessment and Accountability. Today, I will be providing a brief overview of test security for state and district-wide secure assessments. The purpose of this video and the accompanying guide is to understand the Hillsborough County Public Schools Code of Testing Ethics and the state's testing security rules, understand the roles and responsibilities of a school testing coordinator, test administrator, and/or proctor, to be familiar with district practices surrounding confidentiality, test scheduling, test materials, and reporting of results, to be familiar with appropriate practices during testing, including proper test environments, monitoring students, and the proper use of student test accommodations, to become familiar with the proper testing procedures to follow during emergencies that require students to exit the room, and to understand test security needs, security violations, and testing irregularities. Briefly, testing security is meant to ensure data are valid and reliable. If that is always kept in the back of your mind, the reasons why we give tests and what the data are used for become obvious. Every test given has a purpose, which include, but are not limited to, improving instruction, state accountability, student grades, and even promotion. Therefore, every test should be administered in a standardized manner to yield data that are both valid and reliable. As educators, we are held to a higher moral standard. We have influence over students, and there is an expectation that we will model appropriate behaviors, especially during testing time. Educators who choose to violate testing security protocols are not modeling appropriate actions and break a sense of trust the student has with their teacher. Hillsborough County Public School staff, who are school coordinators, test administrators, or proctors, will adhere to the Florida State Board of Education rules and Florida state statutes. The school coordinator is a member of administration. The school coordinator manages the security of tests and is responsible for all secure test materials while they are on campus. This role is for the Assistant Principal of Curriculum, or APEI, in elementary school. The roles and responsibilities of the school coordinator are as follows. First, they have to train the staff. This includes providing the manual at least 72 hours prior to testing. At that training, updates, reminders, along with the introduction and assigned duties should be shared with test administrators and proctors. They need to maintain copies of signed security agreements for one school year. They should verify counts of materials, create a school testing plan for who, when, and where testing will occur on campus for each administration. And, as a reminder, schools do not choose to invalidate a state or district-wide assessment. If there is a question at all, they should contact the assessment office for next steps regarding any possible irregularity. Our phone number is 272-4341, and we will be happy to assist you. The test administrator is instructional faculty or district staff. The roles and responsibilities of a test administrator include reading the appropriate parts of the manual prior to the first day. This includes updates, reminders, along with appropriate scripts to include the introduction leading up to the say parts of the script. They need to ensure that the room is prepared for testing. They need to pick up testing materials the day of testing. They should verify counts of the materials to be used. They should bring the materials to the testing room, and if not immediately testing, they need to be secured somewhere in the room. Once students start arriving, they need to be seated accordingly. Once it is time to read the script must be read verbatim and followed. While testing is going on, they should create their seating chart and complete all security documents. At the conclusion of the testing event, all materials must be collected and returned to the location that was predetermined by the school coordinator. Beyond the roles and responsibilities for test administrators, I wanted to provide additional specific information regarding the requirements to be a test administrator. First, test administrators must be trained for the tests they will administer every single year. Just because you were trained last year doesn't mean you can skip it for this year. Instructional staff may not serve as a test administrator unless they have been trained. The school coordinator is required to train all staff who will be test administrators. The following topics must be shared and discussed. First, from the manual, the introduction, which includes the updates and reminders. the test administration policies and procedures, the Florida Test Security Statute and Rule, and all the forms and signs that will be needed during testing. The test administrator must receive the appropriate testing manual and be trained at least 72 hours prior to the test being administered. Test administrators must read the following sections of the state testing manual no later than 24 hours prior to the testing event: the responsibilities before testing, the responsibilities after testing, and the appropriate script for administering a specific test. And remember, the script is not just the say parts. It would be everything, for example, in geometry, from the first day through day 2 of testing, to encompass all of the instructions outlined between the say parts. All staff who will handle secure materials must sign the district security documents, the exam guidelines and best practices, and, if administering the state test, the state security agreement each school year. These signed documents are to be kept on campus for the duration of the school year. The roles and responsibilities of a proctor are much more limited in scope. A proctor can be a substitute, a level 3 intern, a testing assistant, school staff, instructional staff, and district staff. Proctors serve as a second set of eyes only. They assist the test administrator as needed and appropriate, and should never be left alone with secure materials or testing students. Additional district practices involved with testing include confidentiality of student information. Student records are protected federally by the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. Therefore, when results are returned, they cannot be given out over the phone or shared with teachers and staff who do not have a legitimate educational interest in the data. FERPA gives parents or guardians certain rights with respect to their children's education records, but a parent or guardian must have proof of ID and be matched to the student's emergency contact information for that data to be shared. Also important to note are rules for makeup testing and reporting of student scores. Generally, for each test given, there should be the same number of days available for makeup testing. Makeup testing can occur in the afternoon of alternate content being administered. Every attempt must be made to have students test. Parents and students must be made aware of the consequences of having no score reported. For district exams, students who have not taken the exam will receive an incomplete or I. If the test is not made up, the incomplete will roll to an F, and the student will receive an F for their semester grade and will not receive credit for the course. All students' answer sheets or bubble sheets should be scanned within 1 day of the close of testing period for semester exams and within 2 weeks for pretests. Other summative, end-of-year, and pretest scores should be submitted by the end of the testing window to the assistant principal for data entry. The testing environment is the first step in creating a standardized testing event. The room must be quiet, orderly, comfortable, free from displays which could cause the test to be invalidated, and arranged to discourage students from sharing responses. Students should not be sitting face-to-face or less than 3 feet apart. Following are things that are prohibited in the testing room, which includes family members of testing students, visual aids, and countdown timers. Please note this is not an exhaustive list. If you think something could cause an invalidation, err on the side of caution. Test administrators, after reading the script and starting the test, must monitor students. Therefore, a test administrator may not read, grade papers, be on an electronic device for purposes other than approving students to test, talk casually with other staff who may be in the room, take a nap or fall asleep, engage in any activity not directly or appropriately related to testing, such as doing a crossword or other puzzle, playing a game, organizing your desk, taking care of a class pet, or watering plants. A test administrator is expected to be up and moving about the room. There are 3 types of testing violations and irregularities discussed here. First, security breaches. These are any actions that cause the integrity of the items to be compromised. These breaches can be committed by the student, test administrator, or other staff who has access to the secure test. A security breach is likely a cause for an invalidation of a test record, followed by an investigation conducted by the Assessment and Accountability Department. There are also procedural errors, which occur when the general testing guidelines are not followed. These errors are typically committed by the test administrator. A procedural error could cause a classroom invalidation of test data. An investigation is typically conducted by the building administrators and forwarded to the Assessment and Accountability Department. Finally, there are monitoring issues which occur when the general guidelines of the requirements of the test administrator are not followed. A monitoring issue could cause an invalidation. These issues occur by the test administrator or proctor. Depending upon the nature of the monitoring issue, this will determine whether or not an investigation is required. A typical monitoring issue is not providing enough time to test for students who require extended time. If you witness or engage in any of the above, you must report the problem immediately to your school coordinator or building administrator. The school coordinator or building administrator is required to alert the Assessment and Accountability Department as soon as possible in order to determine next steps in regards to the students who are impacted. A testing violation or irregularity can be cause for an investigation. Some examples of situations that are a cause for an investigation include indicating answers to students, offer testing advice to students, explain or paraphrase text, explain the meaning of a word, rephrasing test items, providing synonyms for unknown words, pointing out or noting the student did not answer correctly. If a student asks a test administrator for specific help on an item, the test administrator can say, "Stay focused and do your best." Remember, perception is everything during testing. After viewing this short video and going over the Testing Security Guide, you should understand the following: the Hillsborough County Public Schools procedures for district and state secure testing, the Hillsborough County Public Schools Code of Testing Ethics, the security requirements for administering state and district secure tests, and your role in ensuring that a secure and standardized testing environment is to be provided to all of your students. Please make sure that you have signed all the required forms, to include the district exam guidelines and best practices, the test administration and security agreements for the district, and the state assessments. Thank you for your time and also for ensuring all of our students have the best environment to show what they know.